family coming back together again? What's the status?
It's just, I'm just amazed that, so the first round of getting sick was like November or December 20, like the couple days before Christmas, like the 22nd, I want to say. And it was a quick bug, you know, it was like it was like a day and a half. Remember Sandy had it as well.
Yeah.
You know, fever, upset stomach, you know, just kind of sinus a little bit. It was real quick though, you know, a day and a half, I think 2 days she was out of bed. And we all experienced it. I was able to kind of breathe my way through it somehow. I was starting to get sick, but I felt like I really was pulling in that light energy. And I don't know how I was able to transmute that. And I did get through that without catching it. I felt it coming on, but I was able to raise my vibration. What I thought I was raising my vibration high enough that the two energies the vibrations could not coexist.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
so,
job.
But from that point forward, I mean, gosh, the last week of December till now, we're at the last 10 or so days of, less than 10 days of February. It feels like it's been 6 months. Like it has been the longest, like just last Sunday to this Sunday, feels like it was 3 weeks. You know, it's just been it's just very difficult to explain, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's experiencing this. The time is doing something really weird for me lately. You know, it just feels so different lately. So much has happened in such a short period of time.
For you personally and your family, I mean, let alone everything that's going on geopolitically.
Right. It's it just feels like time is changing for what my experience is anyways, you know, what I've been experiencing.
Yeah, and that really meshes with what everybody's talking about, the changing timelines and whatever that means.
Right.
How that affects us, which could be considerably.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm experiencing several timelines at once, you know, and always in this present moment, but experiencing things in a way where I'm experiencing several different timelines converging, almost repeating the same day over and over.
Does it seem like, has that happened to you?
Not where I realized it at the moment,
right?
Where I was like in a Groundhog Day scenario where I felt like it, you know, at the moment.
Yeah.
But in retrospect,
yeah.
When I'm looking back at what has happened just since the end of December, it really does feel like something that I haven't quite experienced before. The way that time has, the way I've experienced it, and the things that have happened in my reality.
Would it be sort
really
of like the layering of timelines?
It's almost like my consciousness is now moving forward. So it keeps replaying the same now moments, but with different circumstances. I know, which normally would be perceived as just a different day for somebody. But when it's the same, it's been the same plot, the same experiences. You know what I mean? But different. I know that just sounds so. It's very difficult to put into words.
Well, it'd be interesting to see or know how many other people are experiencing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm curious. I haven't really, you know, I haven't had my tentacles out feeling into what's going on because I've been so busy with everything. But it is almost like I'm repeating the same. It's like the same plot, the same. You know, when you're reading a book, it's got the what's the word I'm looking for here? It's the same. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say. I don't know how the words for it.
No, it's not plot.
It's not the plot, but it's the same idea, the same, what's going on. So when you take a class, you're taking a subject. So it's the same subject matter, just being explored from different like I'm experiencing it from different perspectives over and over, and the perspective is only changing, but the storyline, that's what I'm trying to say. The storyline is exactly the same. So it's like my consciousness is not moving forward almost until I experience all these different perspectives with the same subject matter.
Interesting. So it'd be interesting if anybody's watching this, if they can leave a note in the comments section if they're also having the same experience.
Yeah. I know that I had heard previously other people were having like issues with time. It felt like time was more things were happening in a short span, so much was time just was acting up basically. And we've heard that in the past, that time will change, that our perception of time will fall away, that as we expand, and I don't want to say ascend, but as we expand or evolve, that simple things like that, our perception will begin to become wider. We won't perceive things on such a simplistic level.
That's right. I've heard that. I've read that too.
And I can say that my experience so far is that's probably dead on. I remember 2012, coming up to 2012, and getting close to the solstice there, the big 2012. Yeah. Talking to a couple acquaintances and literally knowing and feeling that time was changing. There was definitely a marked increase in the speed of time at that point. Leading up, I could physically feel it. And it has only done strange things since then.
So it wasn't that like a placebo effect, knowing that?
Definitely not a placebo effect. I know. Because I was talking to people that weren't even into the same subject matter, and I wasn't deeply into the subject matter. I had just been really awakened, and I was awakened. Heart Math, Greg Braden, those were some of the people that I was following, and they weren't really concentrating on that either. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that I was deep into, just because I'm reading it or hearing about it, I'm experiencing it. I literally was feeling it, and I would say it to people like, things just are feeling so different. Things are speeding up. I could feel it, So since then, it's been seeing some things, anomalies with time.
Now, how are the kids doing?
We are all getting there. It is a slow recovery. And I have not added any, as far as any probiotics. Ella has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I want to talk to the doctor about that. What I'm going to add to our, I actually just was meditating about this before we got on our call. What am I going to go back to as far as our everyday diet plan?
Right.
What type of supplements are we going to add in?
Right.
Different, what brand probiotics. I'm looking at this one, it's called VSL3, and I think there's a 6, but gosh, it's $100 for 60 packets. But it's like, probiotics are you've got to get the right company, the right brand. I mean, it's one of those things that it's not regulated, and you could be really wasting your money.
And do they all have to be refrigerated?
That's the issue, isn't it? I mean, some of them say that if they tell you that doesn't need to be refrigerated, then it's not a true probiotic, because some of these can't survive that way. Then I've got other ones that say we use this special nitrogen freezing process, so they're in these sealed capsules and they don't need to be refrigerated. Then you've got the ones that are frozen that so I mean, there's so much out there. To really find what's going to be beneficial is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you really have to go through and either find people that have used it, that have had positive results, that weren't already healthy, that were coming from this place.
Yeah, sure.
Marina Jacoby is one of the ones that's where I got the VSL from. Her son was very ill, and here it came down to digestive issues that was causing everything else. I mean, we often see a link between autism, I mean, there's a gamut of illnesses that end up coming back to digestive issues and the things that are in our system that are related to the digestive area of our body.
Yeah, yeah.
And VSL was one of the things that she used to help get her son out of the hospital, basically. And that was recommended just by off chance by somebody else, a different doctor and a friend of a friend, you know what I mean? So it seems like it's hard to find these good products that are very, you know, they're not marketed. They're like hidden, you know, and why does it have to be that way? Why can't it just be so much more clearer on what the right choices are? So I'm trying to make good choices and putting things back into my system. I'm wondering if some of the gallbladder issues that I was having was because of some of the supplements I was taking. Right. If I was taking things that, I mean, these things aren't regulated.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't know what's in it and what's not. It's coming from overseas. And, you know, was it too hard on my liver? Was I having a problem processing some of this stuff? So once I cut everything out of my diet and was only using the grapefruit seed oil, I have not had any problems.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I eat very harsh foods that I know I shouldn't have, I can feel what's happening, that it's not good, but I'm not having the very adverse effects. It's almost like, you know, this is a no-no, and we're just going to kind of give that little feeling to know that you shouldn't be eating this. But, and is that because my belief system has changed?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be all of the above. It's just such a, gosh, it's so hard. It's such a hard process.
I know.
Knowing what is physical, what's mental, what is, you know, what am I creating? What is the placebo effect? What isn't? Is it all just my mind? I mean, and at the end of the day, I think that it's probably an 80-20 mix, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or 50-50. A lot, or could be 100%. It could be all mind over matter. Or, you know, I mean, I'm just right back to square one when I do this, don't I?
So now, are probiotics the same thing as as digestive enzymes?
No, digestive enzymes are your like your salts, like your bile salts and things like that. That the rest, you know, that is not the microbials that actually live in your system. The digestive enzymes are enzymes that the other body parts make, like your gallbladder, your liver, your pancreas. Those are considered digestive enzymes.
You can supplement.
Yes, and I had been supplementing, and then that seems to be the issue. Seems like when I was supplementing, I supplemented because there was a problem. I traced back where the problem started, and it seems like it started with these shakes, which I was putting amla powder, the moringa powder, spirulina powder. What else? I was putting goji berries. I was just making this super shake in the morning, and that's what I would have in the mornings. I don't know if part of it was too much for my liver to process. I really don't know. But once I cut those, and I cut those out purely because of the caloric intake of it was 800 calories, and I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
And I was still having a gallbladder attack, which seemed to be triggered by fatty foods. But I have had no problems. So did the grapefruit seed oil heal whatever the issue was? Or was it, you know, I really don't know. So I'm at this crossroads I'm not sure what I want to add in and what I want to take out. Yeah. I know for sure I need a probiotic, and so do the girls, especially since we've been on a course of antibiotics. That's a no-brainer, we know, but as far as what is the best one to do, that's where I'm trying to make the best choice.
Let me get a couple of things to show you. Hang on a second.
Okay.
So let's see, this stuff is called Pro EM1, and let's see, liquid probiotic supplement. And I heard about this through, let's see, somebody that you recommended, Dr. Well, it says Dr. Higa's original formula. But anyway, the EM stands for effective microorganisms.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we're taking recently.
And that does not need to be refrigerated, correct?
No, it's
Right.
raw and naturally fermented, it says.
Mm-hmm.
And
And typically, without taking a probiotic, they say you can take fermented foods, and that will build up your antimicrobial and your any probiotics and prebiotics that you would need.
mhm,
So that makes sense to me.
yeah,
Not all fermented foods are refrigerated, and those microbes survive. So, right?
yeah. Anyway, so that was one product from one of the links you sent me. I'll think of it later. And then the other thing we've started to take is this stuff here, this fulvic acid. Let's see, yeah, fulvic humic acid.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and this is
Mm-hmm.
a big bottle, but it only costs like $20 or something on Amazon. And so this could last at least a year, because you're not having to take much of it.
Right.
And what I do is I just add it in my drinking water, just a couple of drops for every glass of water that I drink. Uh, Actually, I could probably just read some of the label, but there's it's not covered up here.
I saw something about mineral. It said something about mineral.
Yeah, there's a whole. So it says complete source of energy, minerals, trace elements, and natural amino acids in a
Which
pH
you need because we're both
balanced
drinking
state.
distilled water, right? So we're
Yeah.
not getting that because of our distilled water. So you got to make sure we're adding
Well,
that.
it all depends really, because if you're drinking distilled water and you're eating a healthy diet of vegetables, mainly, vegetables
Right.
that are grown in reasonably
There's right. That's why
soils.
you need the supplement because it's pretty difficult to make sure that you're getting that,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So let's see, powerful blend, 3 parts fulvic to 1 part humic, boosts energy and resistance to seasonal challenges, strong anti-inflammatory, improves sleep, mental clarity, detoxifies and blocks toxins from entering cells.
Is that high in magnesium? I betcha it's high in magnesium. And are you still taking the magnesium ion with that?
Hang on a sec. Yeah, we're still taking the magnesium
Okay.
supplement. Yeah, I'd have to take a look and see I'm sure magnesium's in here, but it's got a big long list of, see if I can peel this. Nah, the label's not going to peel off. Anyway, you can look it up
Yeah,
and
definitely.
check it out. But in terms of being like reasonably priced, I think it's probably one of the better things that you can give your kids probably. I mean,
Right.
where else are they going to get all these trace minerals?
They're
For
not.
they're
They're not.
not. And so
Right.
like if you can get them into your kids and just start building them up, I think, we've all heard that if you give your body what it needs, it can do miracles. I mean,
Right.
you can really stay well through thick and thin. And
So for the other question is what can we, for me, what I'm finding is, yeah, it might be good for me, but is it safe for my children?
well,
So,
you can take a look online about it.
right,
There's no reason why it shouldn't be, but yeah,
right.
take a look.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now is coming up with a plan, different products that we want to implement and stick with that and have positive results, obviously. Just want to feel good, not have, it all comes back to that we got these viruses, not necessarily the viruses. We were exposed to the viruses because we had a bacterial infection. I mean, that's really what happened. We got the
And
strep, which was bacteria, and
okay,
then we were on antibiotics, and it seems like it opened us up by
so
lowering our immune system.
I guess one of the questions is why did we have a bacterial infection in the first place, and would things
Mm-hmm.
like trace minerals have
Mm-hmm.
helped to prevent something like that, right?
Right. And
That's
and probiotics,
and
absolutely,
probiotics.
right? Right.
So I think you're tracking in the right direction with what you've said so far.
Yeah. So that's the plan right now is to get so we're finally at the tail end of whatever this god awful experience has been. It's not been a god awful experience. Let me
No,
just say that too. It's actually been a great experience.
really.
It was scary.
Yeah.
I almost lost my daughter because we go to the doctor. Okay, we've been sick. We go. You guys know that we had the strep. We get on the, we're all on antibiotics because we're all test positive for strep. We're all on an antibiotic. My one daughter has an allergic reaction to the antibiotic because she's only 2. You know, this isn't something, you know, haven't been sick in years. That's another thing I'd like to address, is that this is something that I am seeing everywhere. Again, I know I've been saying this for the last couple of months, but there are people that are sick that haven't been sick in 5-6 years. The guy across the street is a healthy 60-year-old man, works out, does whatever, double lung infection. He just got home from the hospital the day before we went. So, I mean, a lot of, and I sent you that link today.
Yeah.
So coincidental. Now, the map that showed was marked for May 2015. But if this is an ongoing thing of the heating, it's causing this heating in the Pacific and heating in the oceans, which is causing some sort of, I don't know, it's causing some sort of atmospheric changes that are causing some sort of bacteria and viral anomalies. Things that would not normally grow or survive are now surviving, and that we're seeing it in lung and sinus infections, bronchitis, and May of 2015. And the actual, if you listen, I think it's Secure Team is the Secure something.
Yes, it is.
Make sure you list it. But yeah, this is something, and I find it very odd that this is going on, and all of a sudden they're coming out about Fukushima and the radiation spikes. And I'm kind of wondering if they're, again, and not that everything's a cover up, but usually when they tell you to look one way, it's, you know, we've heard this, it's because there's something else going on.
Yeah, hard to know. It
is hard to know, but I'm seeing it. I'm seeing what's happening. I'm seeing all these people become ill that have healthy lifestyles. There's no reason for them to be ill. A change like this in our oceans is going to dramatically change everything about our ecosystem.
So what's going on here? I guess nobody knows.
No.
There's this massive heating area, and I'm sure it's the colors are accentuated because I think it's only a matter of, you know, maybe 2 or 3 degrees different from what it normally is, but that's massive.
Right.
Overall, when you look at it historically.
Right. Now up there you can see that the heating over by Fukushima, but
wait, because Fukushima's over on this side.
Yeah, that's over there, right?
Yeah. Can you see my pointer?
Yeah, I can see your pointer.
Okay. And then they were also saying there were, here along the West Coast, there's like these really intense accretions of algae growth too, that nobody seems to know why they're blooming so intensely.
Well, one of the things we saw a few years of, and I don't know, I haven't heard anything about it, was the sea star die-off. All the starfish were just disintegrating. They were just this massive die-off. Now, I don't know what's going on with that lately, but
these aren't starfish, but these are other fish that are dying as a result of the...
Oh, yeah, there's definitely massive die-off of all kinds of marine life and aquatic life. But the first thing that I really saw and noticed, and they would even be in the aquarium, and they just did not understand why they were all dying, even the ones that weren't exposed to that water. There's some sort of change that happened at a DNA level that is making the starfish literally, they just were falling apart. They have massive die-off. So I have to look that up later and see what the update is on that. But so we start to see these little changes. Yeah. And now everybody's, we're seeing atmospheric issues and an increase in viruses and microbes and bacteria. I really do believe it's all related.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could also be the reason why we're seeing that increase in disease is, are we getting fewer and fewer of the natural supplements that our body needs? Could that also be something that's going on?
But what about the people that are taking care of them, like that are on a good, healthy regimen? I mean, I'm seeing people that have literally, that's what they do for a living, that are on this regimen that have been well for 20 years, never been sick, and now all of a sudden, just haven't changed anything, nothing's different. Yeah. Why? Yeah. So what's the change? Where is it? Because it's not them. It's not what they're eating. It's not what's going into their system. It's something that's going into their system or something that's going on around them they're unaware of.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a change that we're unaware of that's affecting us in some way. Now, I originally thought it was because, and I wasn't sick when I thought this, of course. Once you experience it, sometimes it'll change your perspective, I noticed. But I think that I had said that there was so much going on. We wanted to see everything. And so everything's coming to the surface for us to see. And it's like this show where, look over here, look over there. It's just so much going on. But not much of it is very positive or uplifting. And so when we concentrate on that, does it lower our vibration, then open us to be susceptible to illness? But, or it could be a combination of that and what is going on in our atmosphere and around us that we're unaware of. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the answer is, but I'm going to try all of the above to try to fix my current situation.
Well, that's right. All we can do is the best we can do, and to inform ourselves as well as we can of different things that we can be providing to our bodies to help them be able to defend against whatever it is that wants to be thrown at us.
Right.
So
there's that. So yeah. So here we are. I said that we all tested positive for strep. My daughter has the allergic reaction. She goes to the doctor. They let us know it's safe. Go ahead and continue this course of antibiotics. She's almost done anyways. They finished up on Saturday with the antibiotics. I'm the last one. I didn't finish up until sometime while we were at the hospital. But then Sunday rolls around and they start coughing. So Saturday they were fine leading up to finishing the antibiotics. I would say Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they were the first time that they were all healthy or seemed to be healthy.
Right.
And then Sunday night, they start coughing. Monday, start really coughing. Runny nose, the same as what started with the strep, with this real bad sinus, runny nose. Clear though, which I thought was odd because I've never seen this illness, whatever it is, you're just producing massive amounts of mucus, but it's clear, it's not infection. So it's your body definitely responding to something. I usually before when we've been sick, it's always, you know what I mean? It's always, you're sick by what you're producing. So this is a new experience for me when it comes to this type of illness. Then I take them to the doctor on Tuesday and he tells us that it's croup, which I'd never had. I've never heard, my children have never had it. We get a flyer. They tell us, it's just they'll cough and cough and they have these coughing fits, right?
Yeah.
So Wednesday, they're having these coughing fits and I'm looking everything up. What can I do? There's really nothing you could do. You have to let this virus ride itself out, basically. And they would go through these coughing fits, which caused them to have these breathing fits.
Sure.
And take them out in the night air.
Right.
Oftentimes, young kids on their way to the emergency room from these coughing fits will, because the night air has a lot of moisture in it, it will fix itself.
Right.
And
so
I'm doing all this.
Or hot showers.
Right. That I've got the cold mist vaporizers blowing right on them.
Right.
I've got essential oils going in the diffusers.
Right.
I'm rubbing them down. I'm doing every home remedy.
Wow.
In the meantime, they're having these breathing attacks. Well, what is it? It's not croup. We take her back to the doctor on Thursday. Her oxygen levels are plummeted. Fever shoots up to 105. They've got pneumonia.
Crazy.
I mean, and not croup. So my daughter had ear infection and something else, but she was on antibiotics. They put her on antibiotics on Tuesday. They did not put my 2-year-old on antibiotics. When we went on Tuesday, Amaris presented with what they said was croup and strep that was not treated from the previous antibiotics because it was antibiotic resistant. So they put her on a different antibiotic. Ella, they did not put her on an antibiotic. So her, whatever she had progressed even worse. Double eye infection, double ear infection, pneumonia, and the whatever that virus was that really affects toddlers and babies. I forget what it's called. So, and that was what was causing, she was going through these where she would cough, fever would spike, she was doing the stomach breathing, she wasn't getting any oxygen. Very, very scary.
Yeah.
So I can see now in this particular area, there have been, I think we're up to 6 deaths now of young children in this area.
Wow.
Because what's happening is it's getting diagnosed as croup, but also the symptoms of these other bacteria and viruses are the same. So when you think your child is having these coughing attacks and having this breathing fit like croup, it's really pneumonia. So you think just let them ride it out. This is what they're telling me to do. This is what all the websites are saying. This is what the paperwork's saying. It will pass. You know, the showers, the coolness dehumidifier, the vaporizer, and in the meantime, it's getting worse. You think that you're doing the right thing, and the misdiagnosis is in the meantime they're plummeting, and these kids are making it too late, if at all, to the hospital.
Crazy.
So, I mean, every year there's always been a spike, but this is like they're at most of the hospitals, only if you're a primary caregiver are you allowed to come to the hospital because it was spreading so fast. It's just a year that they've never seen it this early to this extent.
Yeah, crazy.
So there's a change. There's a marked change that we're seeing. And so in our experience of it, I had mentioned last time that it was a chance for me to really be present. I was in that, we're very blessed to have a children's hospital around here. They had to medevac her out of the doctor's office to the children's hospital, which is a little over an hour away from here. And I did not think we were going to be in the hospital for a week. That I was not prepared to be there. I thought a couple days and we'd be out, but it just really, this is, I guess, just something this year that they're having a hard time with. It's hard time diagnosing. It's been several things at once, but she's doing really, really good. We're at the tail end of it. We did really good being in that small room, you know, 24/7 with her. Right. But thank God for technology because we were able to Skype with all the other children.
Sure.
You know, so that was good. And it's, gosh, being at the hospital to eat, like it was a vacation what it cost us to eat at that hospital. I mean, we spent probably $600 just on food, just to eat, you know, because she gets, you know, they don't feed you.
Yeah.
So to stay there, to stay at the hospital is like what it would have cost for me and Ian to go somewhere, you know what I mean, for a 2-day. So, I mean, it was, I just, okay, so then Ian he has, at the beginning of the year, he has a month's worth of vacation. And we end up using all the vacation, just about, except for 3 days, okay, for the end of this last year, coming in, and then the weeks that he's sick, then this, and then being in the hospital for a week. And I mean, the company can't dictate when you use your vacation, right? But to have to use it all is just, he was so worried about his job.
I'm sure.
And I was very happy that he made that choice. I think I mentioned to you before that when we were sick earlier, I had asked him to stay home and he didn't.
Yeah.
And then this time he said his family comes first. You know, you can find another job. And that was like some major growth for him. And it felt great so the whole experience, and that's what my point is, the whole experience of all of this was really good. I mean, even though it was scary and we went through so much, not once were we disconnected. We were always working as a team. We always had great communication. I was fully present. I was I was able to really delegate my time and do the things I needed to do. It just, because I was centered and I think I was in this place where I could experience things in this way, which kind of brings me to the teal thing, right?
Right.
All of this, all that we teach, all that we read and watch and listen to is really just about tools to guide us through life and experience in a healthy way.
That's right.
Right. So because I have all those tools, I was able to really, I want to do this as next year's vacation. Absolutely not. It's not what my family vacation, but I was able to experience it on a level that was where I was content and happy through the whole thing. I mean, I knew that my daughter was getting better, and even when she wasn't, I wasn't spastic. Like, I was calm and in my reality and in my belief system of the way life works.
So if you were to try to explain that to someone, how would you do that?
That's the best I can do. What I just said. I mean, I don't know what.
I mean, explain how you have come to a place where that is possible.
Right. Gosh, I think that I'm really learning, and I'm learning that it's really about the experience of life, but able to go to that center place. It's been a process, a process of learning different tools. First, I would say that meditation and breathing were key. I think I sent you an article about breathing.
Breathing, yeah.
I
Amazing.
notice when I get stressed out, even though I don't even sometimes know that I'm stressed, my breathing will change. And there's something that happens neurologically, whether it's subconscious or not, or my breathing will change, which then changes my body in a ton of ways, more than I even realize. So taking those breaths were very important during those first stressful moments, any stressful time for me.
And how do you do that?
It's a process of feeling the air go in, and while my consciousness kind of drops out. So it's like I want to say my consciousness like kind of drops into my heart area, but I kind of like am stepping out of my body in a way.
Yeah.
And it's almost in and out at the same time. When I go within, it takes me to a place that's not physically here. And that place has with it, I don't know if I've cultivated it or if it's naturally there. It's a very centered, blissful place. The more you go, it's just like a muscle. The more you go there, the stronger and the easier it becomes. And so when I'm breathing and I'm going into that place, it takes me out of the experience of life and kind of is that 0 point where it's a blank slate, but it's blissful and fulfilling all at the same time.
So maybe
It's
that
kind of like
same,
recharging your battery, recharging, and then going back in. I can go back into life and view it from a different perspective. And oftentimes that change of perspective is given to me in that place.
so it sounds that place that you're going to, what you're calling 0 point, might also be that place that people like Rupert Spira call awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's so many different names for it, but yeah, awareness, we call it.
Or non-dual, that non-dual place.
Yes. Yeah. It's like the starting point of everything. And so, and it is, there's nothing there. There's no polarity. There's no one way or the other way. Like I don't feel fear or happiness, but it's bliss at the same time. It's very difficult to put words to. We've heard it explained as love, bliss, because it's this complete feeling. It's but there is really no English word or any word I'm aware of that really can describe that feeling. It's experience that you have to understand.
Yeah. Well, and supposedly it's always accessible, but the thing that keeps it out of our awareness is all the other things we're trying to do in life to cope, I guess, or to all the different ways we get distracted in life.
Right. Well, and that's the key is that what we've done is we've taken all these things that are outside of us and try to use those as coping mechanisms, when in fact there are a ton of different tools that you can use as coping mechanisms that are inside. And it seems that for me is the key that's been missing really my entire life. If we could teach children this.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it seems like that's one of the, yeah.
Well,
I mean, I've had a difficult time even teaching my own children. So to talk about teaching the population as a whole is, I wouldn't even know where to start. But that's not my expertise, so.
Well, that sort of segues into this tapping thing that I sent you. It's about tapping the body and
Emotional freedom technique is what it's called.
That's right. And
Right.
I thought we would maybe do a little bit, or at least explain it a little bit now or later on for anybody who's interested.
Yeah.
But
And this is, go
it's
ahead.
also something that Sandy is going to be using with one of her grandkids here probably tomorrow. I think she was going to do it. And it's just because it's so easy to do, I thought it was like a real natural for kids too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never thought about that, but with the children, that's a great idea. But
Mhm.
what they have, there's been a few reality type shows on television where they've used the EFT. There's a lady, I have to find the links. There's a lady that's done it with a few football players. I mean, some people that were trying to do life change,
Right.
and she uses EFT for that. I use that for right after meditation as one of the modalities that for the rehabilitation class.
Nice.
And because I've done it, and there's an immediate feeling. There's an immediate
Shift.
yes, you feel results, immediate results that are tangible, and more
It
so
might
than
not,
the abstract.
yeah, it might not be a lot right away, but if you keep doing it, the results are cumulative, I think.
Yeah, and you could feel it. And I think that's because so many, like with Reiki and some in different energy type magnetic modalities, all these different modalities, but the EFT is one where you're actively doing it, you're feeling it. It's not as abstract. It's so much more concrete.
Well,
And
and you're doing it yourself
yeah, right. Yeah, you're only on your own energetics.
as
Right.
opposed to relying on anyone.
Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's huge too, right? There's a
Yeah.
trust factor there. So yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I think that that would be great. I wanted to pursue it further on my own, but this is what I mean by all the different coping techniques. So if you could have, and this is really what I teach in my class on Fridays, is to have this plethora of all these different, a gamut of, you know, 5 or 6 different energy modalities, or the EFT or meditation or yoga. If you have like a ton of these to choose from, and you find it, my goal is for them to pick them and have a program that works for them. So what you would have is your regular recovery program, which would be a 12-step program in AA and NA.
Yeah.
This is a recovery program where you're finding these modalities that suit you. You're using as a daily self-care practice, or when things get stressful. Through all this stress, not once did I ever think of using. I
Right.
never, it's one of the things I'm not quite sure. Has these healing modalities healed me so well that the average person in recovery says the moment things get stressful, that's what they automatically think of?
Yeah.
I don't. I just don't. Don't have that feeling. All of that has left me. Am I healed? Have these things healed this disease? I'm uncertain.
Well, it sounds to me with the progress that you've made with your ability to connect with your essence, your heart space, your 0 point, your awareness, non-dual place, whatever we want to call it. That is so important, and it's so that feeling of, it's really a blissful, nice feeling. That, I think that's the feeling most people who end up being addicted are going after.
You're absolutely right. That's it. That's it right there. That's what's missing, and that's what you're always trying to chase after, that feeling.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
So
the people that haven't felt that, we talked about Gabor Mate, and he had in some of his interviews asked a few addicts, why do you use? And they would say, the first time I ever used, it felt like a warm hug from my mother, like what
yeah,
that would feel like. And so
yeah,
there's something missing in us as human beings. And for the weaker individuals, or the ones that are run down enough that get to that starving point of that feeling,
yeah.
we find a synthetic outside of us object or material or substance that soothes And so then we rely on that. When in fact, there's other ways, and I say this too, there are other ways to get that very same feeling and experience that are legal and are
Right.
healthy.
Right. So even like with tapping, for instance, the phrase that you use is even though I'm experiencing stress, I love and appreciate myself. So you could, so stress would be one thing. Even though I have this sore shoulder, I love and appreciate myself. So you could say, even you could use it for never having gotten a warm hug from your mom. So like, even though I never got a warm hug from my mother, I love and appreciate myself. Then the process, as you're doing this tapping on various parts of your body, you're saying, I never got, never got that warm hug. I never felt what it would have felt like to get that warm hug. And it's basically a set of negative statements about the fact that you never got those, that good feeling. So, or that what you experience sucks, that it's difficult to deal with, never having gotten warm hugs. And right, so you express it in the negative. And I heard someone today on a YouTube say why that is so, and it's because stating the negative basically, well, let me just pull it up here because I wanted to just read it here. Okay, so repeating the negative statements about your condition, phrased in different ways um, uh, during the tapping, neutralizes them. So you can still have that thought, but it's no longer harmful. So it neutralizes it, so it's no longer harmful. It allows your body and psyche to fully receive the thoughts and feelings and emotions that are already running through your system, the negative ones, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, and that this reduces the fight mechanism, and it actually apparently reduces constriction in your body fascia. Mm-hmm. So basically, tapping diffuses the pent-up charge of whatever the issue is in our body mind. So I thought that was interesting because when I've seen tapping done before, let me go back here.
I think it's like an energetic release. So energy has to flow a certain way, and when you've got a buildup of energy, the tapping gives it a place to release.
It's maybe it's just acknowledging it. It helps, and yeah. Do you need to?
No. They're just came running down the hall, so they sound closer than they are.
Yeah. So there's tapping. So there's and I'm just revisiting that, and I guess you are too. And yeah. I think that it's a very interesting option for kids, and I'll be interested to see if you try that with yours, and I'll be interested to see how Sandy does with her grandkids with it.
Yeah. I definitely need to look into because I can't even remember. Like, I know it's the forehead, the eye, the chin.
Yeah.
I forget. It's and then the hand or the outside of the hand, and then something else. I forget exactly how it goes.
Let's just do it here. Okay, can you see that?
Yeah, okay. The eyebrow, the top of the head. You start this way, go down.
Different people start different places, so I don't think it really matters.
Oh, really? Because I've always seen them start
which is
like
fine.
this.
And it's easiest to remember that way. Do you want to do one? Okay, so let's go over the points first. So basically, you're tapping on the top of your head with your fingers, and then you're tapping on the on your eyebrow, right here, just about an inch above your nose and an inch over to the side.
Right.
And then next one is tapping on the side of the eye, just to the right or left of your eye, sort of on that bone. That's the eye socket bone. And then directly under your eye. And again, you're using either 2 or 3 fingers of your hands to do that. And then tapping under the nose. under the lower lip, between the lower lip and the bottom of the chin, and then the collarbone. Now you can either thump it with your fist, or you can tap it. It's not right in the middle. It's either to the left or to the right.
Okay.
And you can actually use both hands. I've seen people use both hands. So like going back up to the head, top of the head, you can go to.
You could do the whole way down.
Yeah, you can use both hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the last one is under the arm. So basically, it's not the armpit, but it's about 4 inches down on your ribs. So sort of like right there.
Right. I don't know if it's because I have a sinus thing going on, but I could feel that. And I think when I did it in the past, I could feel it too. So I literally felt marked physical release, like, you know what I mean? Like it's a strange feeling. It feels different.
You mean just now?
Just now. And when I've done it in the past too. That's why I liked it, because I felt it. That's why I presented it, because it's something that it's an immediate,
right.
Something happens in those spots. It's and I don't know if it's, I'm not sure what, I really would like to do more research on it and find out what the reasoning for it is.
Yeah.
The science behind it.
Who's that? The doctor who does the DNA research? Who's real famous guy. I'll think of it in a minute. But
Bruce Lipton.
Bruce Lipton. I haven't watched it, but apparently he's done a little explanation about why it works.
Okay. Yeah.
Which will be useful to watch. And let me go back though to the tapping before we do the sequence from the top of the head on down. You tap the side of your hand.
I knew there was something to do with the hand.
and that's the first one. So basically, that's where you say, well, do you want to use do you want to like pick a ailment or a stress or something that's going on now?
I mean, we can.
Or that everybody might identify with. Probably everybody's undergoing some kind of stress, but of some sort. But what do you think?
Yeah. We could do something like even though life can be stressful, I remain centered.
Okay, so what we would do is we would start with, so even though life is stressful, so we'll use life is stressful. Okay. So we'll start with our the side of our hand, tapping the side of our hand. So even though life is stressful, I deeply and fully appreciate and love myself. And there's no set formula to use for that. You can say, even though life is really stressful, I love and appreciate myself. It can be that simple.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be a couple times. Even though life is really stressful, I love and appreciate myself. Even though life is really stressful, I love and appreciate myself. Okay, now we go to the top of the head. Life is really stressful. Life is really stressful.
Now, are you supposed to just say the negative?
Yeah, so you say the negative. Life is really stressful. Life is stressful. You can change it up if you want, but it's basically that idea. Under the nose, life is stressful. Life is sometimes really stressful. And the collarbone, life is really stressful. And then under the arm, life is stressful. And then, and that's the sequence. And so you can do that again. We can go through it again and using different words. So top of the head. We don't do the wrist again, as I understand. You just go back to the top of the head. So life is really stressful. It's so hard dealing with all of this stress. Side of the eye. Sometimes I don't even know how I can deal with all this stress. Under the eye, it's amazing how much tension I've been under recently. Under the nose. I mean, this stress is crazy. Above the chin. I've been so stressed. And the collarbone. This stress has just been crazy. Under the armpit. It's been really amazingly hard working with this stress that I've been going through.
Now, are you aware that every year they have a big EFT summit?
I've seen that on the YouTubes.
I mean, this year it was huge. It was like 10 days long, like 5 or 6 different speakers every day.
Okay, but
this is a big following.
But before we go there,
mm-hmm.
Okay, any body reaction?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. I felt like, not the second time, but the first round, I felt like energy moving on this side of my body. So the opposite side, I felt like energy, like a release of energy on this side of my body. Uh-huh. So, and with that, did I feel, I can't really say whether, there's definitely something happening there.
Right.
Right. So, over time, like you said, it's got a cumulative effect.
Yeah.
So is there a release happening that you are self-healing, you're self-medicating in a way? And it can't be bad. That's for darn sure. Right?
No, absolutely. And of course, if you look at a bunch of YouTubes about tapping, you'll see almost everybody is getting very positive results. And it may not be huge results, but they're noticeable. They're definitely noticeable. And I'll take anything I can get. Right?
Right. And when we put all these tools together, see, that's the idea. That's where I'm going with this, is that when I have this tool and I have meditation and I have yoga and I have, awareness, being centered, because really awareness is the main part of it. That's really the foundation of all of it for me. And then I implement all these different skills and all these different modalities. Yeah. That's what, for me, is the perfect mix of what I need to, for me, has been really being able to experience life, from a really enjoying and loving all of it perspective.
Exactly.
So I'm actually loving the stress. Uh-huh. I'm loving the roller coaster ride of it. Like, this has been the best ride ever. And before, you get so stressed out about it and you just hate it. But for me now, it's just given me the capacity to really enjoy all of it.
Well, that's amazing. And you mentioned meditation, and I saw a tapping thing that had to do with meditation, because the woman's mind kept wandering and she couldn't hold her mind steady. Mm-hmm. And so there was a tapping thing for that. So it's like, even though I can't keep thoughts from continuously entering my mind, I love and appreciate myself. And that's how you started, right? And then you go through it and just saying these crazy thoughts. And so that when you're tapping, it's like, these crazy thoughts just keep coming. Right. I've not been able to stop these crazy thoughts. Right. So if you get creative about it, you can probably use it for damn near anything.
I would think so. Definitely. Yeah. Right? And as part of your toolbox.
But I think that the negative, using those negative statements, I never heard until today what the explanation was for why you use negative statements.
What is the reasoning for it?
What I read before, right? That it helps to neutralize
Okay.
that thought form
Right. Okay.
in your emotions or in your emotional body.
So what we're talking about here, so when we have a thought and then it creates an emotion, right? And
Yeah.
then the emotion creates the vibration, then that changes our reality. And so if you can neutralize the thought before it creates the emotion, then creates the reality. That's the idea. And I think that's some of Joe Dispenza's work there. And he may even talk about tapping too.
Uh-huh.
So it's neutralizing the thought before it becomes an emotion. Because when thoughts become emotions, that's the problem, right?
Well, ideally, you can get to it before it causes the emotion. But if you miss it and you end up having that emotional reaction, then you can go back and use the tapping to diffuse it, to neutralize it.
Right. Because the idea is once you get to that point, you don't want to keep letting it build. It becomes this angry monster.
Yeah.
So you're slaying the monster.
Yeah.
And then if you can become very skilled at EFT, then you get it before it manifests.
And to become really skilled at it, it doesn't take long at all. From what it sounds like.
Right. Well, I think it's just of any of these coping mechanisms. It's becoming self-aware. It's being aware of your thoughts and your feelings. You have to be self-aware, or what are you going to? If you're not have a certain level of self-awareness, you won't have anything to tap to.
Absolutely. And if you have even a little bit of self-awareness, it helps start building that self-empowerment idea.
Well, that's the beginning step. That's the first step. We talked about steps last Wednesday or last Sunday, and that's the first step, right? Being willing to be aware
and self-empowered, and that interestingly ties into the idea of sovereignty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sovereignty is a very that's a long process for people. I'm still not 100% where I always feel sovereign. I like the reminder of it. Sometimes you remind me and it gives me my muscles back.
Uh-huh.
But to be in a place where I constantly am like in full sovereignty,
so what
I'm
would
not
that
always
be?
there.
So what would that be, though? I wonder, could that be equatable to awareness? Could that be like in a place of full-on awareness? Because I think if I'm continuously in a state of profound awareness, I think you could call that a place of sovereignty. You could certainly call it a place of confidence. Right. So I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure sovereignty is going to be a good word to play with or not. But I thought I'd just mention that.
Well, I mean, the ultimate goal would be to be sovereign. I mean, that is the ultimate goal. Once you're in a place of sovereignty, that's like the golden.
Maybe. Although sometimes I think the connotation that some people can have about the word sovereignty is like you're in a bubble of sovereignty, and that's not it either, because we're connected with everything. So.
Yeah, I'm the main definition of sovereignty is all powerful. You're completely in your true powerful form, whatever that is, and it's a authentic pureness. And so that is a very difficult. Okay, so to be in awareness, yes, could be when you're in your sovereignty, definitely, but awareness for me is a in and out act, not act, but it's a balancing, it's a dance. And when I'm in awareness, I'm not in the matrix. I guess in some ways I have one foot in and one foot out. But when I'm really in the experience of life, awareness is there. It's like an anchor. But when I become overwhelmed, I completely tap out and go into awareness.
Say that again.
So which part? I mean, so when I'm in life, you know, there are times when I am in a sovereign state where I do have one foot in and one foot out
What,
of awareness.
one, okay, so you can be in a state of sovereignty with one foot in awareness and one foot out awareness?
Well, yes, because I'm participating in the life experience where I'm anchored into awareness. I'm everything that I do, I'm doing with um, a defined where I'm in touch. I'm anchored into awareness.
So you're fully engaged with life and in full awareness. It seems like
Right,
it's
right.
both feet in awareness. It sounds
No, because when I'm in awareness, when things get overwhelming and I have to like tap out of life and go within, that's when I'm completely immersed in awareness and I am not participating in the matrix or life at all. I am inside, within, completely into nothingness.
okay. Well, you mean the nothingness of awareness?
Right,
Uh-huh.
right, right. So I'm completely immersed in it. So I have tapped out of the experience of the matrix altogether and I'm recharging. And that's what I mean by 0 point. I'm at that blank slate where then I can recharge, repower, recenter, and then go back in and experience life in the matrix. See,
Okay.
it's about a balance between the two. This whole thing, everything we talk about, is about having the coping skills to have a balance where you can enjoy life and experience life to the fullest extent, every single thing you do. And so it's a difficult dance at times to be able to experience life while being anchored in awareness.
Sure.
Because there's this whirlwind that happens sometimes and you get caught up in it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's what the whole challenge is. That's where you have all these things that are calling you, and fear and
Yeah.
those things like to
Yeah.
suck you
Yeah.
up more
Yeah.
so than the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I mean by that, is
I
that I
see.
have one foot in and one foot out, and that when things get overwhelmed, when I go into a meditative state, the whole purpose is to go into awareness and to tap out of reality so I can recharge.
Although, in truth, well, at least from the standpoint of coming from a place where Rupert Spira, those guys come from, when they say reality, they mean non-dual awareness.
Right, right,
Although for most people, reality is 3D reality, the physical world,
right.
where everything seems real and there are all these objects around me that I have to relate with.
Right. But I will say that I have different meditative states. So there are times when I'm in full awareness where there's nothing, and there's times in a meditative state where I'm simply in a different construct.
Yeah.
You know, so, and
But
there's a dualistic thing that happens in that construct.
of course, ironically
There's an
though,
interaction.
awareness pervades all of it.
Well, it is awareness, right? All of it is awareness. So um, that is the irony. But it, it's just once you take it all away and you get to that place, okay, you could say that once you get to that point of just awareness as it is,
Yeah.
you really are removing the whole construct of reality.
Yeah.
So then there's nothing to talk about,
Yeah.
is there?
No. Yeah. Right. Well, especially if you tap into that blissful place, which is
Right.
what you're talking
It
about.
just is being. It just is, and so there's no
There's
there's
no
nothing to look
drive.
at, nothing to taste,
Yeah,
nothing to feel.
there's no
It's just
drive to go anywhere
right,
else.
right. It's
Like
just
what we were
being.
talking about earlier with the whole addiction thing. You
Right,
have that drive for something, to try to capture that something,
right.
and that something ends up being that thing that's within us.
Well, in Teal Swan, that video I sent you, that's how she actually started off with that, is that all this enlightenment that we're trying to chase, the first primary enlightenment and secondary enlightenment, we're all just trying to chase. I think me and you had this conversation the first time we spoke. What
Mm-hmm.
is it that we're chasing?
Uh-huh.
And we're chasing that feeling that feels good. That moment that we're like, this is it. We're always chasing that. And for an addict, when they use a substance, oftentimes they have that momentary feeling. So they're always chasing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it really is, for all of it, just another form of addiction where we're chasing that what's missing. If you constantly are doing it on the outside of you, you will never get to that place.
That's
Or
right.
you'll have it just in a fleeting moment. But when you can find it on the inside of you, it's a place that you can always return to, and it's always there, and it's full. It's not a fleeting moment.
And it seems impossible to most people that it could be inside.
I know, it's amazing. I just, because we talk about it and there's so many words, and until you get there, there's nothing I can say that will make you understand. I could talk about it for days and hours until we're all have no breath
Well,
left.
yeah,
But it's a doing.
the person has to come to it on their own path.
Right, right.
And when the time is right, and when they've bashed their head against the wall enough times to where they, they decide, okay, maybe I will look inside.
Right. Somebody just sent me an email earlier, a couple days ago. We were, somebody's been having a problem, and I'm like, I see a pattern here. You don't see your pattern? Because it's a monthly, every couple month thing where they go through this despair, then they isolate, then they, and so it's a pattern, and they're looking for, well, maybe I need to take this. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. And it's a lot of talk, and I don't see a lot of people may take a lot of action. When I start seeing the meditation and they're really trying different modalities, then I know they're on the right path, because they're going to find it eventually. But it's that first it's talking about it, it seems, that they realize they have a problem. Then it's the doing, starting to do things until you find what fits for you that takes you there. And gosh, it is for everybody. It's different. I mean, some people seem like they really, and I don't know if this is something like that we've hit on before, where it took you 20 years, it took me 6 years, then somebody 6 months. Are we to that place now where people can get there faster because we've evolved? But or is it just that so much is out there and accessible, it's not a hidden knowledge anymore? So we're able to find, a lot of these things were hidden modalities,
Yeah.
So now
I
it's much more accessible.
I think it's all of it, and 100th Monkey.
Yeah, the collective.
Yeah.
Definitely. So yeah, so we could talk about it. We can talk about the problems. We can say, try this, try this, try this. But at the end of the day, it's the doing, right? It's you really wanting it. And
Or is it the doing or the non-doing?
it's for this particular situation, it's the doing so you can become the non-doer. It's funny how all this, it just plays off of each other, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have to get to that place to learn how to let go. You have to hold on to learn how to let go. It's why does it have to be so damn complicated? But after it's all said and done, when I look back, it's not really that complicated. I made it complicated. I think as human beings, we make things so damn difficult, but it's really simple.
Well, and supposedly we're just wired that way for whatever reason. But that's a whole other story.
That's another hour. We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. All of everything that we've been through, I'm just loving the flavor of life right now. And even though I've been through something which typically would make people stressed out and traumatized to a certain extent, I really enjoyed the whole experience of it. I know that sounds crazy.
That is just amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And I would love to meet more people and talk about this more with more people who are experiencing the same thing, or who are at that level of being able to, that what I mean, can understand. When we share things, it's sometimes there just aren't words to quite explain it, and I'd like to hear some more feedback from other people that are experiencing it that could put different words to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, viewer, person who's watching this, look under the little YouTube window and you'll see in the description how to join our little group.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even comments, or just subscribe, or
Yeah.
I just imagine a world where we are, okay, so we talk about the people that are trying to figure the matrix out. And it's always, everything is so bad. But you know, things are good too. There's some good. Let's talk about the good too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's learn to appreciate all the good and the bad. Get out of the polarity of it. Let's learn to, so in a world where people are experiencing life at this level and appreciating the experience, being able to go within, I just try to imagine what a world would be like if we were at that level. All of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I'm
I
not
think,
saying there won't be any bad. There's no, you know what I mean? There will be bad. That's the point.
mhm.
You know, people are going to get sick. We're going to have that experience too. But to be able to experience it from a different level.
I think we're heading there. We're heading to that place. We're going to get there, and I mean, it might get worse before it gets better. But I think from everything I've seen and heard, I don't know if you feel the same way, that we are in the middle of a huge transition.
You know, let me just say that when we say before it gets worse, before it gets better, it may appear worse.
It may appear worse.
And I think that's what some of the stuff that we are learning now, where I know I am, is that when things seem bad, there's an experience to be had there that could actually be.
Yeah, just like the metaphor of the person who's never seen childbirth before, and they come upon a situation where mother is giving birth, and there's all this crazy energy and pain and a parent suffering, but childbirth is happening.
Right, yeah. And that's an excellent metaphor for what we are. I mean, it's being used, but I don't know. I've heard it so many times, but just until now did I really, you know, I hear it, I say it, but for some reason, what I've just experienced has changed my perspective ever so slightly so that I can appreciate so much more. And so I think that as human beings, if we could start taking life like that, all the morsels of life, and really like appreciating every moment of it and tasting it and feeling all of it at that level, it changes your perception with all of it. You know, it's
Yeah, well,
it makes everything more vivid.
it's because you've allowed yourself to fully integrate it rather than pushing it out. I think that's one of the keys.
Is that what you've experienced? Have you experienced this? I mean, because you guys have been through so much. What has your experience been when it comes to things of these like this to get to this level? Because I feel like when I talk to you and Sandy, you've already been there, done that oftentimes, you know? And so like, I'm just telling you stuff that you already know, but you're just watching me go through it.
No,
You know?
not necessarily. No, no. I mean, life can just always be challenging. Can be challenging, and so really, for me personally, it's just always trying, first of all, to remember to breathe, because that comes down. I mean, that's so important to remember to breathe, and just to be present, and to just allow things to happen the way they're happening, and to not try and push one direction or the other too hard, and just to be present.
So what happens is there's this allowing that happens, right?
Yeah.
That opens up this new world for you where the experience of it is deeper and fuller, and it's a more loving experience. It's a flowing that happens. It feels good even when it's bad.
Yes.
Even the bad feels great.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That is a possibility.
It's a reality.
I mean, that is a reality.
Be.
Yeah.
Right. So have you experienced that?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And what is that? What has that been like for you?
Well, it's very liberating. It's very liberating to be able to be in that space.
What have you done to get to that? Like, okay, so I've said what the things that I've done. What are some of the things that you've done to open you up to that? Is
over
it
the,
just like you said, just the allowing and
yeah, I mean, over the years, I've done mindfulness training, Vipassana training, where it's all about being mindful, right? Which is like Thich Nhat Hanh says, take good care of this moment, right? And the idea of like holding this moment like a mother would hold a child who's suffering, if there's suffering involved,
hmm
right? Where you're just like really attentive to that child, to really attentive to my feelings, whatever's going on, and just holding that, and which integrates it, which helps to integrate it. So a feeling that is fully felt and worked with, and it becomes a feeling that's integrated. And once that feeling is integrated, you can move on. You move on.
so that kind of goes back to some of the stuff that we've talked about in the past of do I let it go? Do I feel it? How long do I let it stay? I guess what I had some of these questions before. So when I actually felt it, and so what is happening is that I'm experiencing, and I guess there's a difference between fighting it and keeping it there, not liking it, and but really feeling into it and experiencing it. It flows on its own automatically.
Yeah.
And so there's no time, there's no and what I can say is that it almost becomes not a bad thing. Like what I would perceive as a bad feeling,
Right.
I would typically like get tense and
Right.
you
Right.
know, and so when I actually experience it and treat it differently like that, or I guess I'm saying experience it, you're right. There's an integration that happens, and it flows, and you feel it fully, and it becomes almost not negative. It just becomes a neither. You know, it just neutralizes. There is something to that. I'm working my way through this right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's not just like I had said that I got a lot of stuff from that Matt Kahn, I think his name is, where
Yeah.
he would say if it, you know, just love it, whatever it is, just love it. And what
Yeah.
I had done was I would take negative emotions that I was feeling and would say, okay, I experienced that, I accept it, I release it, right?
Yeah.
Instead of always pushing things away, because I would constantly push away the negative,
Yeah.
not realizing that I'm still paying attention to the negative. I'm still creating more of the same without realizing it. And it just wasn't healthy to push the negative away. There had to be an integration process where there was a balance. And so, and finding this and actually experiencing it this way where I'm not, when I was doing it, where I was just saying, I see it, I appreciate it, I accept it, I love it, I let it go. I wasn't fully experiencing it.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? There was still a barrier between me and the negativity.
Yeah.
And so when I experience it, it washes through me and integrates in a way, almost cellularly,
Yeah.
that it just flows through. It just releases. It literally transmutes and disintegrates. It becomes part of the experience, but not in an experience where when I say or think about it, I feel stressed out. See, normally trauma in my life, when I would think about it, I automatically get that response in my body where I get tense
Right.
but when I experience stressful situations now, I don't feel like that about them. You know, there's no negative. So there might be some work to do there for me with maybe going back and experiencing in meditation some trauma and letting it integrate in a way that's different. I might look at that and see
Yeah. Maybe.
if I can get something from that. But definitely from in my current experience of life, this is the way to do it. This is the way that works. This is the way that feels wonderful, and it's taken me to a different level. Definitely.
Outstanding.
Okay, so I think
Mhm.
what was some of the stuff? There was a few things that I had written about isolation, how destructive isolation is. So many people isolate when they get upset. Did you end up listening to Danny and Lisa's interview with
I
Off Planet Radio?
I didn't. Did you?
Yeah, it was actually a really good interview, and it was so weird again
Yeah.
that they talk about they kind of talked about some of the things that we'd been complaining about. So kind of complaining that, they're more into this and not into this, where there should be more of a balance there.
Right.
And they actually kind of addressed some of those things. And some of my questions were answered in that interview. So it might be worth it to do a little listen to it if you're interested.
Okay, great.
Um,
I had a flying dream that was interesting.
oh, that's funny that you mentioned that. Go ahead.
Have you ever had a flying dream?
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
something that I'm glad you brought that up, because
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, so what was different about this flying dream is that I found myself like at the top of a building, and I was sort of gliding down, but there was this roof that was in the way, and I actually went through the roof. My form went through this physical object and floated down to the floor.
That's awesome.
I've never done that before in a dream. I've never like floated through something.
Right.
So that was
So
just,
you're able to like kind of dematerialize or change your vibration to
well,
however you did it, you're not sure, but you did do it and you realized you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So in my dreams, when I would be trying to get away from something evil in my dream, like something chasing me or trying to get me, I would never be able to fly. I would just hover, and like these things would just barely be able to reach me. But in my dream, I could fly higher if I sang songs. So there's something to do with frequency, and it would be like church music, right? That I would sing. There's oftentimes that I would wake up and I'd be in the middle of like singing like some church song.
Like a hymn?
Yeah, exactly. And I think so it reminded me of different chanting and different, now I'm like tying all these things together. There's something to do with cymatics. We see how cymatics work with creating different symbols, and there's definitely sound frequency and color frequency, and we know that all these frequencies work together, right, to create our reality and to manipulate reality. And so I'm wondering, was that something that I knew, and so is there something to this, different, different acoustics, different, you know what I mean, that can literally change our reality? Is that part of the science of the matrix? That still, I know, for me, I know a lot of people aren't interested in, and a lot of people are interested in finding the science behind the matrix. But for me, I want to be able to do both. Like I want to be able to play in this playland.
Yeah.
In all ways, not just the experience of this, that, you know what I mean, just a regular life. I'm enjoying that I can go so deeply in regular life, but also explore beyond that. And I just think it's way cool to find these things that might actually manipulate the matrix and reality.
Yeah. Well, Terence McKenna used to say that the world is made of words.
The world is made of words.
And then if you take that the next step up with attaching like vocalizing to those words, it brings to mind the ayahuasqueros, the medicine men who work with ayahuasca. When they do their sessions, they sometimes go do these sort of like launch into these chants, these singing songs, these chants that help to take the experience into a whole other dimension.
And I think there's something to that. In Genesis, the first words is, first there was the Word, and the Word was God. And it's actually, I believe, it's the vibration when that word is verbalized. Not saying that takes you to a good place or a bad place.
Right.
I have no judgment there. But there's something to the acoustics of it, and the things that we say, the chants, the singing, something to that manipulates our reality and does change our vibration, change dimension, take you to other places.
Yeah.
It's a key, definitely a key.
Yeah.
So when you mention that, a flying dream, these are the things I think about while I'm washing dishes. Right?
Great.
My brain just goes, and I'm thinking.
That's perfect.
So yeah, and I had written that down to actually talk about that. So I thought that was really cool. It's the very first thing that I wrote down.
Oh,
It was
that's
about
great.
flying right beyond reach and then singing church songs.
That's great.
So it always comes around that we talk about these things that they must just be there, you know, right in the field,
Yeah.
the ideas.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I guess I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Give Sandy hugs and kisses for me. And I guess when we talk, hopefully there'll be, you know, it'll just be as calm as we are now.
Who
Get through the
knows?
rest of the school year without any viruses or bacteria. I will say that if my daughter gets sick one more time, that will be the end all of preschool. She will be pulled.
Yeah.
And it's something I fight with myself about, because I talked about wanting to homeschool. And the only reason why I don't homeschool is my own issues, my own fear of not being enough,
Oh, well,
you know? So
that might be unfounded. And then also, don't forget, folks, yeah, for this stuff, and we don't make any money on this stuff. We're just like showing it because it works. We're taking it, and it seems to be working. So check it out, research
Okay.
it, see if it might be good for you.
Definitely going to be coming up with a plan.
All right.
So, okay. All right. I'll see you. Thank you so much.
You
Have a
bet.
great
Thank you.
afternoon.
Okay, you too. Take
All
care.
right. Bye-bye.